are you honored to be my first guest?
Yes, honored. Yes, very
I mean,
honored, thankful.
this is huge. Like we were talked about this, but we didn't actually I didn't actually know I was going to bring it to life, but here we are.
Yeah, I was very thankful. I didn't know, I was trying to get you some guests, and then when you told me, Kayla, I want you to do it, I was extremely thankful. So I'm excited. The future is bright for you in this podcast, and I'm happy to be here, for sure.
You heard the man. You heard the man. Okay, well, with you, obviously you being my brother, this is stuff I
Right?
know, but we need to talk about just your journey because your journey hasn't been kind of like the normal athlete. But we're going to
Yeah.
take this back like all the way back to high school when you were playing
Okay.
quarterback. Most people probably don't even know that you played
Right.
quarterback.
Yeah, I was trying my best. Uh, I wouldn't say I was the best in the world, but I was trying my best to make it happen. It depends on how far you want to go back. You want to go back to Georgia? You want to go back to Mississippi? You want to go back to where are you trying to go?
We're going to take it back to Sarah High School in Gardena,
Okay.
California.
Sarah High School, Gardena, California. Okay.
You're playing quarterback. You obviously
Mm-hmm.
know that you want to play in college, but were you this whole
Right.
time thinking I'm going to play quarterback?
Um, Sheesh. I guess so. What's crazy? I was kind of just wherever they put me for real. And then coming from Mississippi, like I was smart. I kind of could figure it out. They're like, okay, go to quarterback. Cool. So I moved to
Hmm.
Georgia. I'm trying to be a quarterback. Tear my meniscus. Missed my whole junior year. Sheesh. So then
Right.
moved to California. Dad gets a job at USC. So now I'm trying my best to catch up. Like I'm trying my
Right.
best to be as good, but I kind of realized pretty quickly that there's guys around me that are a little more talented than me, and I think that happened when I went to the rivals camp initially, kind of when I moved out there, and I'm in a a throwing group with Blake Barnett, who's number one in the country, Sam Darnold,
Tough.
who goes first round.
Tough.
Ricky. Like it's a lot of guys that I could tell, like they probably have a little bit more development than me. Um,
Right.
and so then I go to Sarah. I'm
Hmm.
in a quarterback battle with
Can we shout
another
out the
young.
Cavaliers? Can we shout out the
Shout
Cavaliers
out
instead
Sarah High
just to
School. Shout out
always
Sarah.
and forever? Okay.
Come on. Okay, so so I get to Sarah. Um, they just lose their quarterback, Jalen Green. He's going to USC. He's
Right.
enrolling early. So I'm like, okay, I have an opportunity to play here. They have a young
Hmm.
quarterback who's going to his junior named Khalil Tate. Very talented. Ended up being a really, really good college football player.
For
Um,
sure.
so we're doing this two quarterback system. I'm trying my best. I'm throwing it pretty well, and then I'm
So
getting. We kind of go ahead, go ahead.
the two quarterback system though, for people at home might not know exactly what
Right,
that is.
right.
What does that mean?
So a two quarterback system is basically where you go into each week thinking I'm playing both my quarterbacks. And for
Okay.
how we were kind of set up as Sarah at the time was I would start the drive, and so I would start the possession. I would,
Hmm.
either get us down the field wherever we want. But once we kind of got to that red zone, that 35 yards and in, I'm out the game. They bring in Khalil
Gotcha.
Tate in because he was dynamic with his feet. He could do
Is he
some
gonna run
great
that
things.
thing
He
into
was
the end – zone?
touchdown every time. He's a good
For
player.
sure.
He was up for the Heisman. I'm old enough now where I can be like, I get it. I get it.
Yes.
And so my college recruitment was weird because these coaches are recruiting me and they're like, yeah, Caleb, you're throwing it pretty well, but you ain't got no touchdowns. And I'm like, well, yeah, once we get close, I'm out. Like, and it just was what it
Right.
was. So I ended up having a bad game against Bishop Amat, and then they decided to go with Khalil. And I get it. And honestly, it probably worked out for the best in the
You know
long
what
run.
I'll always remember from your high school is that your high school career playing days, that
Hmm.
picture. It was so sad. It's literally your last game,
Last
and you
play.
literally last play. Where was that game at? Was that at? It wasn't
Corona
Bishop out.
Centennial.
Yes, Corona Centennial, and it's
Corona
literally just
Centennial.
you with your head down, just standing up, and it's. I'm sure
I,
a picture means so many words, but if you
for
look at
sure.
it, you're like, wow.
Come on. And then
I'll always remember that.
it was an interception last play, ended it. We were first round of the playoffs. It was
It's
tough time for sure. Tough time.
No, it's tough, but I'll always remember that.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
so obviously you go through that transition. Well, you're
Hmm.
playing quarterback in high school, but
Right.
then college comes around. And
Yep.
for people that don't know,
Hmm.
this man, well, he had letters getting sent to the house, like
Yeah.
letters, but
Hmm.
you weren't really that highly recruited.
Mm-mm.
So tell me about that process.
Well, missing as far as quarterback play, like missing your junior year is like huge. Like quarterbacks, like you're usually committing before your senior year. So as far as like quarterback recruiting, like I was after missing my junior year, it was going to be very hard for me to get either a quality D1 scholarship, especially on the West Coast where I was trying to get, and that just wasn't really happening. So I really only
Right.
had one Division I offer out of high school, and that was Old Dominion. Shout out Ron Whitcomb and that staff over there, Coach Wilder. They came all the way out from Norfolk, Virginia, to come
Real
recruit me
ones.
and offer me a scholarship, and even came back and offered me another scholarship after I left USC as a walk on. So my recruitment really wasn't there.
Yeah.
I was committed to Old Dominion. I kind of committed to Old Dominion just to kind of secure myself something, and then quickly realized that I I kind of wanted to stay back West Coast, and I wanted to play a high level of football. Probably the highest level. I think I grew up around that, so I think that was kind of my perception. Where I'm like, man, I need to get back to that. And so,
For sure.
Coach Sarkeesian and my dad, and Coach Helton, they told me, hey, I kind of flashed at the end of my senior year at tight end and had a good
Hmm.
this like All Star game. We had this little All Star game, B2G All Star game, and I had a good performance. And they were like, Caleb, you can walk on here, and with your dad on staff, you get tuition paid for. Like, come on over and come compete and see what you could do. And I think my dad sat me down and was like, hey, Caleb, like, I think this is probably I think he tried to say it as
Special.
nice as he could, but this is probably a good idea to do this. And I
So,
appreciate
okay,
him
so
telling me that.
of course, we know tough love from him always. But now you're
For
a
sure.
Trojan. Trojan.
Yes.
But you're a
Hmm.
walk-on. And obviously we know USC, one of the most dominant programs in
For
college
sure.
football ever.
Absolutely. Not
So,
ever.
I mean, you're there, but you're a walk-on, but then your dad's a coach. Like, how are you like just maneuvering through all this? I mean, you, you know me with playing soccer. Obviously, dad knows nothing about soccer. So, I was good
Right.
playing throughout college. He didn't have much to say other
Right.
than you better play hard.
Hmm.
But, you're on the same team with your dad. Like, I just don't, how does that dynamic even work?
To be honest, he's on the defensive side of the ball and me being a tight end, like it really wasn't it really wasn't like he was really never like grilling me, coaching me. He was really just kind of
Yeah, that's
supporting me.
true.
Like I would
Hmm.
kind of catch myself like making plays, and even though he's coaching on the defense, like he's kind of like cheering for me still. So,
Right.
it was cool, and honestly our relationship kind of grew in that phase of our life, like where I'm kind of transitioning to adulthood versus being
Hmm.
in the house. Like I think we grew in that way, and honestly it was awesome, to be real.
So when you're at USC, like who's the player there that you're like, nah, he's like the real deal. Like
Adoree
obviously
Jackson.
you're confident.
Adoree Jackson.
Adore,
Adoree Jackson. Adoree
and we
Jackson.
love Adore. We love Adore.
Adoree's
Shout out to
great.
Giant. I cheer for the Giants because of Adore. We love Adore. Well, we knew that coming out of high school. I mean, the man could not only just run on the track, but also on the
He can do
field.
everything.
He could do
He can
everything.
do
Well,
everything.
okay, what was the moment though you were like, bruh,
Okay.
he's like this
I
is
can already
dumb.
tell you. I can already tell you. Okay, we're in fall camp. We're in fall camp. It's my
Right.
freshman year at USC.
Hmm.
He been playing defense this whole time. He ain't been playing no offense, but he's so talented he go both ways. Which,
Which is that's
listeners, that doesn't happen. That doesn't
Do you
happen.
know? It's just enough snaps just to be on the
Yeah.
offensive side of the ball. So
And
to
there's
do double that, crazy.
yes.
Yes.
And so we're at practice, and they're like, hey, Dory's playing some offense today. I'm like, okay, I'm excited to see. When I tell you the first three plays, he touched the ball, three touchdowns in a row.
Right. Hmm.
Bang, 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 in a row. And I'm like, what? He ain't played offense all camp. And then first thing, he just started scoring, and I'm fighting for my life just to get a catch, and he just making it look too easy. And so when I saw that, I'm like, okay, that's what an NFL player looks like, and it makes sense.
And
But yeah, Adore
like
Jackson for sure.
for sure. Okay, but and who did you like learn from? Obviously, I'm trying to remember at the time who was in your tight end group.
Yeah, we had a young group.
Okay.
It was like Taylor McNamara, who had transferred from Oklahoma. We had Tyler Petit, who was a really highly touted tight end.
Yes.
He was in my class. And then
Hmm.
after that, it really wasn't. We had Cyrus Hobby, who was kind of a rotational blocker. And other than that, like it really wasn't a whole lot of depth. So,
Like better. Hmm.
but as far as like, to keep it real, like dudes like Sua Cravens were the people who kind of like told me like, nah, Caleb, you can play. Like, and that was kind of like the confidence boost because I always saw myself as a walk on, but I knew I could make plays. So I was kind of going about practice like a game. Like I wanted
Yeah, that's
scout
how you
team to
have
be
to
like,
play.
and so,
Right.
and USC did a good job. They would like, show our highlights from scout team on either on like
Hmm.
a Friday. So I was trying to be on that highlight reel. I wanted
Of
everybody to see
course.
Caleb making plays because all my friends getting stipend checks, all my friends playing, getting like I'm like shit, I want that.
Think about
And
that. You're
so,
fighting for the stipend check, and think about how it is now.
oh, and now they
Like
making
you're fighting for
millions.
a stipend, which could easily have been, at least for women's soccer, could have been maybe $500.
My freshman year was probably $500
And that
easily.
what if you think about it, that wasn't even that long ago. Like it
No,
has
that
changed
was
that quick.
yeah, that's crazy to think about. But yeah, you're absolutely right. But like I said, guys like Sua just telling me like, nah, Kev, you can actually play. Like, and this is coming
Hmm.
from an All-American at the time. He's like, nah, you're actually a good player. So my confidence went up. So now
For sure.
I thought of myself in a different light. And I think
Yeah.
words of encouragement from people who are good, it can help you for sure.
And Sua has always been a real one. Like I follow him on
Hmm.
Twitter, and he just always has told it how it
Oh
is,
yeah,
and I
he gonna speak his
appreciate that,
mind.
especially being in journalism because I think that's something a lot of people should do. And but it takes some courage. But I love his tweets.
Yeah,
So
he speaks his
shout
mind,
out
and he
shout out to
and he
Sua
reps his school. Shout out Sua for sure.
as he should.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's just the elephant in the room. Obviously, you jump to the
Yeah.
Bruins,
Yes.
UCLA. Love the Bruins now. Whatever team you're
Love
on,
him.
that's what team I was on.
Yes.
But obviously, that has a little animosity. I mean, that's a big rivalry. You're going from school to school. But why? Why that jump? What did you see at UCLA that you were like, there's more opportunity for me there, other than the money?
Mm.
We know that
Yeah,
you offered a
absolutely.
scholarship, obviously.
No doubt. No doubt. For me, the process was like, my dad and his staff got let go from USC, with
Hmm.
Sarkeesian staff. So my tuition was now, it ain't paid
No,
for. So it's like, all right,
right.
do I ask to go back to school and continue to ask my parents to pay all this money, or do I bet on myself and go say, hey, let's go play football? And so for me, the next steps were like, I got in the we didn't even have the transfer portal at the time. So I reached out to the athletic department and I'm like, hey, I want to transfer, kind of see my options out there. They're like, okay,
For sure.
cool. So get that happens, and I'm kind of not really telling anybody. Like I'm kind of just keeping it. I'm not really trying to be a distraction. They're about to go on a spring ball, so I'm kind of just trying to just be cool about it.
Right.
Um, and so Old Dominion ended up reaching out. Shout out Old Dominion again for coming back. They're like,
Hmm.
hey, look, we have a scholarship for you. We don't care what you play. You play quarterback, tight end, just come to Old Dominion. I'm like, cool,
Right.
appreciate it. I'll let you know. And during that time, like I had to make a decision like in the next couple of days because you got to enroll in the school academics. So I was like, dang, so I'm
Right.
rushing. And so I was thinking about to go to junior college, maybe right here in California. One of
Hmm.
shout out Vianney Talamaival. He had some connections at Riverside Community College. I was thinking about going there. And
Yeah.
then, I think this might be a God thing. Like I reached out to Coach Tui Asusopo, who's currently the office coordinator at Rice, and I was like, hey, Coach Tui, my question was I really reached out to ask him, like, do you think I have potential as a tight end in the future, or do you think I should go back to quarterback?
Now,
And
just
go ahead.
pause because I just want to ask, like, being just to put yourself in those shoes again, like, are those the questions you have to ask? Like, I know some recruits probably are like, they don't even want to know the truth. They don't want to know if they'd be good enough. But are those like the kind of questions that high school athletes should be looking to ask college coaches right off the back? Or is
For
that
sure.
like, yeah, how do you feel about that?
Um, I feel like I had enough trust in Coach Tui at that point because I had worked with him
Okay.
for a whole year. So like I
Yeah,
wouldn't just ask anybody that. Like I'd ask people who actually been like around you and
for
seen your
sure.
development and seen you. So if you can trust that person, you feel like you put in the time with them to create that connection, then I absolutely think you should ask because I mean none of us have all the answers, and
Right.
so I trusted him and his guidance. So I reached out to him, and it
Okay.
was a late night. I was at the dorm I think I was staying in La Sorbonne at
Hmm.
USC, and I call Coach Tui and I'm like, hey, Coach Tui, he had just got the quarterback job at UCLA. So I was like, Coach, do you think I should go to Old Dominion and be a quarterback, or do you think I should go to Old Dominion maybe and be a tight end? And he
Right.
goes, I think you can play at UCLA. You know, I was
Then you turn some
no
heads.
for sure, and I was not expecting that at all. Like that was
Right.
me calling him for that was not what I thought was going to come from it.
Right.
And he goes, you know, we need some tight end depth over here. I think you can play. I'm going to have a conversation with Coach Mora and
Hmm.
Coach Rip Shear tomorrow, and I'll let you know. So I was like, okay. So my whole everything turned upside down for me. In my head, I'm like, okay, I get to play in the Pac-12 still. I get to
Right.
play. I get to play. I got my mom still lives in Redondo. My sister still goes there. I get to live right across the street, and I'm like,
That's
I
right.
have no complaints. Like
And you're in one
this
of
is
the
perfect.
you're in my opinion
One
you're
of
in
the
the
best.
best city in the world.
I
I'm
love
just saying.
Westwood, and it's
Yes.
one of the best institutions in the world. So it was
Right.
really, it really wasn't a, it was a no brainer for me. And
Right.
so
Right.
get a call the next day. Um, Tui's like, hey, I want you to come up here with your parents tomorrow, and
Hmm.
come visit, and maybe we can see if we can make something happen. I'm like, say no more. So call my dad. He's currently at the Eagles. I think he's either at the Eagles or he's at Missouri for a short stint.
Yep.
And for a very short
Very
stint to
short
say the
stints.
least. And so he dad's like, I'm coming. Like wear something tight, make you look big, and like I'm coming. I'm like, cool. So dad flies in that morning, he picks me up and we drive up to UCLA.
Hmm.
This is why they're in the old facility. The new facility ain't even built yet. So we go up in there. I introduce myself. We kind of chop it up quickly, and they're like, "Hey, like," and they end up bringing me to Coach Moore's office, and Coach Moore's like, "Hey, we have a full scholarship for you. We're either going to enroll you in spring or in the summer, but you have a full scholarship to UCLA." They were like, "Do you want a official visit? Do you?" I said, "Coach, I'm committed. I don't need to
None of
do
that.
nothing, Coach. Like,
I'm a Bruin.
I'm
Rip
ready to
off
go."
rip off the USC, throw
For
on the
sure.
blue. No questions asked.
For
Well, I
sure.
mean, and then you just fast forward and like
Hmm.
you're an all-American. I mean, the story, I mean, people really wouldn't believe it, but you really I can say this because well, my brother or not, you mm-mm, tore that field up.
No, no, it was cool.
So
I'm thankful.
well, of course, but that story from going from a
Yeah,
walk on to USC to an All American at UCLA,
right.
and let's be honest, like nobody was expecting you to not the outsiders. No one
No,
was expecting you to do that
nah,
at
no,
all.
no way,
I mean,
no
of
way.
course, me, your number one fan, I always was. So when I was up in those stands, I was like, "Yep,
Yep.
you see him. That's what I've been watching this whole time." But
And I
okay, and then
appreciate
that
you being there for me. Thank you for
always, I
being there
mean,
for me too.
of
Thank you.
course, always.
Yep.
So we fast forward. Obviously, the people who know
Right.
Caleb
Hmm.
Wilson at UCLA, top notch. Okay. So the draft comes around. I remember I'm in college. I
Right.
believe it's my freshman year, 2018. No, yes.
Yep.
Is
2018.
that when 2018? I'm in my dorm in
I got
college.
drafted in 2019. Oh, like it happened early 2019. My 2018 was my last season. But yeah, I know what you mean.
So draft day comes around. Now you went to
Hmm.
the combine and you ran fast,
Yeah, I did. I shocked some
did
people there.
well, shocked some, turned some heads as you
Hmm.
done.
Yep.
Then draft day comes around. Now, people hear about, mock drafts and what round you're going to go. You talk to scouts. What were you predicted on that day?
Going into the draft before I declared, I had
Right.
heard like anywhere from like 4 to 5, which in my head I'm like, I'm a little older. I'm 23. I'm going to be 24. Like I think
Yeah.
4 to 5, if I can, run well, if I get it in 3, 4, 5, like I'm good. I'm happy. I'm where I want to
You'll
be.
take that.
Even though
Right.
obviously I would love to be a first round draft pick. It's awesome, but I got to be realistic with myself. So I was thinking if I can
100%.
get in that 4, 5, 6, that 3, 4, 5 range, I'm good to go. And some agents told me that they've heard fourth round grades, fifth round grades. So I'm like, let's go do it. Let's make this jump and let's start the process now. So that was
Right.
my thought process. But that's where we were early on in the draft.
Correct. So draft day comes around, and I know me. I'm walking around Eastern Washington University, nervous. I'm not trying to
For
show
sure.
people, but I'm nervous. I'm just in my dorm bed, just staring at the laptop,
Right.
just watching the draft. So obviously, fourth, fifth round comes around, nothing.
Right.
But the seventh round comes around,
Yeah. Right.
and we're waiting, and
Mhm.
we're waiting. No name called. Well, we get to the last pick, very last pick, and
Yeah.
mom calls my phone, and she's like, "All right, he's going, he's going." And you know me, I'm not a very emotional person, but that was
Right.
an emotional time for me. So you get
Yeah.
picked by the Arizona Cardinals, last pick of the
Right.
draft, what they call Mr. Irrelevant.
Right.
Well, relevant to us because they made you
Right.
relevant for a week in Newport. That week was
Hmm.
crazy.
It was cool.
And you don't really like attention, but you have to admit it was pretty fun.
Yeah. Oh, we had a blast, and all my people were there. It was a good time. We had to experience some new things. I learned how to surf. They said I was
Oh
the
my
best
gosh.
surfer in Mr. Irrelevant history. So
You did
you
get
know,
up. I'll give you that. Just for a few
thank you.
seconds, so it wasn't nothing like crazy.
Whoa, don't hate though.
But so okay, you made it. I mean, a dream come true. I don't care if it's the first round, first pick to the last pick of the draft. Like that's just a
Right.
blessing regardless. People who go
Absolutely.
through that know that. But I mean, obviously the NFL is the highest level, but is it like I mean, when you got there and then you actually put pads on and were on the field, can you even explain to people what it's like? Like, can you even help someone prepare for that?
I think I try to, but I think you can't really communicate it until you really see it. And I think,
Yeah,
even for me, like I thought, I was NFL ready, which I was
hmm,
ready to play in the league, but I also know that there's a difference between the elite players versus where I was at when I first came in. Like,
for
fortunately, I was
sure.
able to come in around pros like Larry Fitzgerald, Chandler Jones, Buda Baker, and I could tell that there's a ways for me to go still as far as learning how to be a pro, learning how to
Right.
play hard every snap, knowing how to, be on top of my plays every single time. So there's a level of professionalism that I don't think you see until you get there, and a level of intensity and strength that you don't see until you really got to experience it.
Right.
Because now you're going against grown men. It ain't 17,
Yeah.
18-year-old kids no more. It's people with kids, wives. It's a different world.
It's a reason they're there. Best of the
No
best,
doubt.
no doubt.
No doubt.
So,
Hmm.
your time in the league was very up and down. I mean, you
Hmm.
what from the Cardinals and then you were Eagles,
I went from Cardinals to the old Commanders,
Commanders,
and
right?
then I
Then
went to the Eagles. Yep, and then
so
went back to the Commanders, and then Denver Broncos. So I was like five different teams.
and you can attest this like this business is no joke. Like it is cutthroat. Like
Oh,
you
oh my
you
gosh,
get cut and your bags are already waiting at your porch at
oh
home.
my gosh,
Like
oh my
it's
gosh.
no and obviously, I mean, you wanted to make it in the league, didn't work out. God had other plans for you. But when did you know like okay, it's time for me to kind of wrap this up and move on?
I think my very last year I was with the Broncos. It was
Hmm.
kind of on and off. Like I wasn't in a camp, I wasn't in an OTA, and I got
Yeah,
signed to the practice squad like late, like week. I had like a week like 8 and 10. They cut like 8 and 9. They let me go. Then I finished the season on their practice squad.
yeah,
And after that, they didn't re-sign me. Uh, then they brought me back for like an OTA, like a mandatory mini camp. And I just realized like I think I just saw the way the league is going, and I think I
hmm,
noticed that they're always wanting to get younger. They're always wanting to get fresh, new bodies. Like, and
yeah,
I didn't have any new tape, so I knew like I don't. I'm still. I'm either living off preseason tape or I'm living off of tape from UCLA, and that's just it's not relevant enough
right,
where scouts and GMs are going to be like, oh, let's go get him right now. When there's
yeah,
other guys, young guys who've been playing, and so I knew I had to either go get tape elsewhere or it was time to shut it down. And I just, for me, like my thought process was, okay, yeah, I can keep competing, I can keep playing, or I can jump into this coaching right now and get a head start early. So by the time a lot of my friends are finishing the league, I'm already in a position of where I want to be in this coaching world, where I have
right.
an opportunity to put friends on and give them opportunities. So that was kind of my mindset and my thought process.
Did you ever think about doing something that wasn't coaching? I mean, obviously, with Dad being a coach for what is this 30
Hmm.
something years, that's all we've ever
Yeah.
known
Right.
sports, and at least for
Hmm.
especially for you football. But were you ever like
Right.
maybe contemplating something else?
Yeah, I looked into some other stuff. Like I looked into like private security. I looked into
You did do
trucking. I
that.
looked into a bunch of different things that I thought interested me, but I realized like pretty quickly, like during that transition period when I wasn't like in a locker room, like I enjoy the camaraderie. I enjoy the working towards the same goal with a group of people. Like I enjoy helping develop and teach kids stuff that I might have not had or that no one shared with
No
me.
doubt.
Like so, I think I tried to look into it, but I really enjoy being in this setting. Like I feel at
Yeah,
home and comfortable in this setting for sure.
for sure. And especially now too, because I mean, just the way college sports is now is just so different. Like
Yeah.
the way I used to know it was just like you you put on your cleats and shin guards and you go out there and you play hard, and if you're not good enough, you just sit on the bench and that's what you
No
do.
doubt.
But now it's almost like the kids, like it's almost like the pros. And I
Yeah.
just I can't even imagine, because one, I feel for like the high school recruits who,
Oh
are
yeah.
just doing the same routine that we all did, but now
Hmm.
it's changed. And now these 18, 19-year-olds are having to figure out how to manage money, and not just like a $500.
No,
I mean,
no, not
how
like
have you how you're now in it? I mean, how
right.
is that?
I think it's definitely just way different. I think this is the first time I'm starting to think with NIL and the transfer portal that kids are starting to have more leverage than they have ever had before, because now there's a market, and now there's, okay, coach, if I'm starting or I'm a 5 star, 4 star, you got to pay me so and so and so and so and so from the collective, like, and it's just a
Right.
totally different world. And now, like, you know, you couldn't transfer in conference back in the day. So, and you had to sit out a year. If you Now kids are like, oh, you ain't playing me? Oh, you yelled at me too much? Yeah, I'm in the portal, and I'm gonna go to a school that's been hitting me up for the past couple months anyway. So
Yeah.
it's a totally different world of what's going on, and you got to adjust. Like, you can either be mad and be against it, or you can get with it. And I think it's just, you got to make a choice, because either you can get with it and get left behind, or
Right.
you can. It's definitely different, but I think it's just an adjustment for everybody.
Well, how have you had, I mean, first of all, how have you had to change, like, I mean, recruiting techniques? Because you're not just now like going against another coach's word of mouth. Like now you're going
Yeah.
against real money. And if
Oh
you don't
yeah.
have it, you just might be out. So, but personally, I know, we've kind of always been learned that like your relationships are everything, and those can go a long
Hmm.
way, especially when you get older.
Right.
You know that even relationships sometimes go past money. So, kind
Right.
of you as a new coach in the industry, how have you kind of set? You know that the collectives and the money plays a role, but how have you just kind of worked on just getting to know kids just as people?
Yeah. I think for me, it's just trying to be someone that they can lean on, they can trust, and they know uh, that they have a coach that cares for them. Like, I try to
Yeah.
make sure, like, it's just not all business all the time. Like, it's not all just ball. Like, these are kids who have lives, who have their own struggles, who have their own things they're dealing with. And
Right.
this time period we're in is so temporary, it's so small, and I don't ever want them to leave thinking, man, coach didn't care for me, coach didn't support me, and that's kind of been my main goal, as far as development, and just really, like I said earlier, kind of being a coach that be a coach that is there for them more than just ball. And I want to help them in life, and in their friendships, whatever they need. And that's kind of where I've been. So my point is just to connect. So, like, I've been trying to do things like when I was at Purdue, I took my players to go see, Trey and the Hawks versus the Pacers, which I thought was cool and they enjoyed. Not to just wait for us to
Oh, for
connect, like,
sure.
outside of ball. And then, like, just recently, I took out some of my wide receivers to the Gunna concert, and we had,
To where?
special guest passes to the
Where
Gunna
was that?
concert. Shout out,
And
shout out Gunna.
not, yeah, and not just brought them to the concert. I mean, did he pulled up to the facility?
Yeah, he came and showed love, which was amazing. The players thought it was cool, and I thought it was neat for him to take the time to come see us and see
For
what we're doing here at the
sure.
University of Washington. So I'm thankful for that. But then they showed us love on getting us access to the concert. So my guys enjoyed it, and I just think that was another opportunity for us to create relationships where it's more than just ball. And then now, when I do got to coach them hard, when I do got to get on to them, it's like, yeah, but this is the same coach who I know he care. He ain't doing this out of anger. Like, it's doing not because I'm trying
Right.
to help you get to where you want to go.
Right.
So I think it's just trying to connect, even in the market of some people are focused on money. I still do believe that relationships are important.
100%. Now, okay, we
Hmm.
we literally just went through your journey from Gardena Sarah to
Hmm.
now being a coach at Washington, but all that in between. This might be hard to do, but through all of that, like, is there
Right.
just one piece of advice that you can think to like give someone in maybe in your position, maybe that's in the NFL struggling, maybe that's a high school athlete that is looking to get a scholarships or isn't getting looked at the places they think they should, like just
Right.
overall. That's really
Yeah.
putting you on the spot because that's hard to do.
It's
I'm
okay.
thinking about what I would say, but
Right. It's okay. And I think
Anything.
mine's pretty simple. I think I just tweeted it this morning. It's just like the simple concept of just like keep going. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard. You're gonna have down days. You're gonna have things, things that make you not want to work or not want to get up and I want to continue to push. But like you have to keep going. Like there was days when I was a walker, I'm like, man, I ain't gonna get there. And then,
Right.
I injured my foot in college. I'm like, man, I'm not gonna make it back to where I was. But you just got to keep
Hmm.
going and keep taking it a day at a time and keep progressing and getting and improving every day. And I think that's kind of my mantra, and that's kind of what I push to my kids and my loved ones around me. Like, man, just keep going. So that's kind of my deal.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, words of wisdom. You've been through it. I've seen it this entire time. So there is no doubt that is some words that should be listened to. Now, this is what I'm gonna do with my podcast. So
Okay.
every guest I have on here, I'm gonna ask them what are
Yep.
two guests that they want to see on Conversations with Colby. Two, and
Okay.
then whatever you say, that you got to help me try and get that person on here.
Right. Okay.
Who do you want to
My
see on
first one,
Conversations with Colby?
I want to see. First, I want to see, not first, but I want to see Mark Stoops, head coach of Kentucky. I want to
Shout
see
out the
him on your
Wildcats.
podcast. You in the city. We have
I am.
connections. We coached with his brother at University of Oklahoma. Like, let's get him on.
And you know what's
You already
crazy about that? I haven't been able to even introduce myself to him just yet because it's just, being in the media, you go to the press conferences, but the coaches are ready to leave.
they're ready to
Like
go. Yeah,
they're ready to go. And
no
I get
doubt.
that. My dad was a coach. I understand.
Hmm.
But it's like, so it's timing is everything, but I'm going to we're
Right.
going to meet and we're going to go back to the past to remember who each other are. So
Yeah.
yes, Mark Stoops. Okay.
So I think Mark Stoops is one,
Okay.
and I think we got to get Trey Young on there. I think we got. I'm not saying it's gonna happen right now, but I think we got to make it happen. I mean,
We'll
he's
get Trey
arguably
on
the
here.
best, one of the best point guards in the world. Like, I think.
People will say we're biased, but we believe so.
I mean,
It
it's
is what it
proven
is.
statistically. Statistically, it's proven.
But they continue to sleep. They sleep.
They
But
hating. They hating.
we'll wait. He'll got to wake him up somehow. So
Hmm.
okay,
Hmm.
Mark Stoops and Trey Young. Well,
Yeah,
you
that's
you'll
my
you'll
goal.
be assisting me on getting
I
these
got you.
people.